For this project, I am using the Farmhouse Collection pack. So it's got 8 double-sided papers, 2 each of those of 12 by 12, plus some stickers. I am going to make 2 of the same projects. So I have first cut the paper to 6 1/4 by 12, so I can have 2 equal projects. I've also cut 12 5 by 4 or 4 by 5 pieces of medium weight chipboard, and I've cut I've cut 6 of the 1.5 by 5 medium weight chipboards. I've already put double-sided adhesive on the back of all of the chipboard pieces just to make things go a little quicker. So I'm going to just make one set on camera, but I'll show you how it goes. I love this pattern, but this means I lose this pattern. But I love that pattern. But it's okay. We'll go with this. So knowing that this is 12 inches, I'm going to put my ruler here. I'm grabbing my T-square. So the first piece is this 1.5 inch chipboard, so I need to center it. So if this is 6 inches, I need to put this at 6 3/4 and center the chipboard right there. So I've already put the double-sided adhesive on. I do get this in rolls from scrapbook.com. It was out of it as I'm talking, but it should be in stock soon. So I'm just guesstimating about 1/2 inch top to bottom. So now that that's in, I don't need the ruler and I don't need the T-square anymore. I didn't center it that well, but you know what, that's okay. I'm going to take 1/4 inch double-sided permanent adhesive and putting it on both sides of that chipboard spine. And I'll go ahead and burnish that while I am able. Peel off the backing. I'm using a Dress My Craft non-stick bone folder number 2. It's got a sharp enough bevel on it that I can peel off the backing. All right, so I've got that, and I'll go ahead and peel off the backing of the adhesive on this. As you can see, it didn't quite cover the chipboard, but that's okay. It's not a big deal. If you wanted to, you could add glue right there. Now I'm going to put this sort of making sure it's even with the spine, and I'm going to overlap onto that double-sided adhesive so it's not quite 1/4 inch between channel between this. Little bit less. That's actually big. And then I'll take the other one and do the same thing. You want somewhere between, and you want about 3/16 of an inch. See, it looks like it was on a slant anyhow. That's okay. And then I'll burnish this. I'll take my bone folder and find where the edge of the chipboard is. It will want to stick down to the surface because of this adhesive, but that's okay. Now I'm going to take scissors. Let me move these out of the way. And cut off at the corner. Stay about 1/8 of an inch away from the corner of the chipboard. If you ever come too close, you can just take this piece and glue it right on there, and that'll help hide any mistakes you make. Now, usually I just use my double-sided adhesive to adhere it. In this case, because I have less than ½ inch here, I use my liquid adhesive. I'm going to use my double-sided adhesive right here. Just want to make sure I get a good stick. But I'm okay with the rest of it. So I will add glue right up against the chipboard and also right over here. Add glue here. And then I will use my bone folder, fold this paper up, push it right up against that chipboard, go back and forth several times, and then try to hit the top of it so you've got that, you're bending it, and then burnish. Now, if you use the double-sided adhesive, it sticks instantly. If you use just liquid adhesive, you've got to work it a little bit, but it'll stick. So now I am going to add a little bit, just a little bit at the top, because I've got the double-sided adhesive here, so I know it's going to stick, but I just wanted to make sure I got a good stick. See, there we go. See, it helps when you have just a small amount to stick onto. All right, then I'm going to push in here at the corner just so that it doesn't jut out, but even if it did, we'll be able to maneuver it. And I will go like that. Oops, I need to do some right there. I like to have a bead of glue right next to the chipboard because then it helps it stick to the chipboard and it also loosens the fibers of the paper. Oh, there we go. So there is that. Now here, I'm going to go back and forth a couple of times and try to get the paper that's on top to stick to the paper that's below. Really, it's sticking to that double-sided adhesive. And then I'll fold it, and then we've got it covered. I do like to take my bone folder and go along the top and the sides just to get a nice crisp book fold. So there is the cover. Now later on we'll go and put paper inside, but that is it for covering the book. So we're going to do that with the other covers we have left. All right, the next step is I'm going to cover the inside of the books with different pattern paper. I put on some 1/4 inch, 3/4 of an inch double-sided permanent adhesive to the center, simply because I'm starting to run out of glue. Haven't been able to get any. I've been to 2 local scrapbook stores and they don't have it. I mean, we know the reasons why, but in any case, I'm just trying to use a minimal amount of glue, so if I can supplement it with some other adhesive that I have, I will. So I'm going to add a good amount of glue to the spine. And this side of the spine. And then I'll go around the perimeter or want to sort of work fast because I don't want the glue to dry. And then I will place this down, center it as much as I can, and then starting at the center, I'll burnish. And then I will find where that double-sided adhesive is on the other side of the spine. And burnish. Oops, that didn't connect. Okay, so I'll let that dry flat, and then when it's done drying, I will take my bone folder and work that again and fold it. I'm going to do the scoring of the pages using some plain cardstock. I didn't like how it appeared in my video. You just really couldn't see what I was doing, so I'm using plain cardstock. So the first layer, this is the one going to go down at the bottom. It's going to be closest to the cover. It is 8 3/4 by 4 1/2. The page sizes are 4 1/2 tall by 3 3/4 wide. So because of that, we're going to score at 3 3/4 and then at 5. This first one has the widest spine. Layer 2 is 8 3/8 by 6. I'm sorry about these crazy sizes. If you wanted to make it 8 1/2, I'm not going to yell. Anyhow, 8 3/8 by 6. We're going to score with the 8 3/8 side at the top at 3 3/4 and 4 5/8. So there's 4. There's 4 1/2. It's the next tick mark. That's 5/8 since these are all eighths. Now we're going to rotate it so the 6-inch sides at the top and score at 4 1/2. Layer 3 is 10 3/8 by 4 1/2. With the 10 3/8 side at the top, score at 1 1/4, 4 3/4, 5 3/8, 8 7/8. 8 7/8? Yeah, 8 7/8. All right, well that looks right. This one is one that has the flaps. And then final layer, layer 4, is 7 3/4 by 4 1/2. You're going to simply score this one at 3 3/4 and 4. All right, I'm going to take my bone folder and start scoring. I'm not scoring, burnishing. And I guess I'll move this. So we'll burnish on the score lines. When you're burnishing at, well, all of them, but especially the center ones, make sure that your pages are even top and bottom. You don't want it to be wonky here. Okay, there's that one. I'll put that aside. This one will fold these, and this one, of course, the flaps could go either way. So you could fold it and then make your mind up once you're decorating which way you want the flaps to go. And of course you can glue those, make them a little pocket if you wanted to. Just glue at the top once you've decorated. All right, that's number 2. Number 3. All right, so this one you need to burnish on all the score lines before we fold it into shape. And I actually am going to burnish on both sides because it's really important that this one is flexible. Okay, so there's that. burnish this way. And then I'm going to turn it and fold it this way and burnish. What's going to happen with this page is we're going to glue this tab, this little 3/4 inch piece, down onto here. Is it 3/4? Maybe 5/8. So now we'll do that just to make sure it will be easy to glue. Okay, so there's that. And then this one is just, again, simply fold on the score lines. Okay, and we're going to just glue these together. So this will be the bottom piece. All right, so for here, I don't have very much glue in here. I'm going to add glue to this bottom tab and fold it and burnish it. And then I'm going to add glue to here. Now, if you want, you can supplement it with double-sided permanent adhesive, and I would use more glue, but I'm probably just going to toss this out, so I don't want to use up all my glue. So I'm going to put this down and center it. That's the benefit of using a liquid adhesive, is you've got a little wiggle room. So put that on and burnish that real well. And again, we're going to add glue to the third layer. And we're going to center that. So it should be even top and bottom, even with the piece before. But there might be more room. No. But you want to make sure that it is equidistant. This one I probably could have had a smaller spine. This one I probably should have had. What did I make this? 5/8. I did. I probably could have done 1/4 inch, but I didn't. All right, and here we'll add this one. And this gets centered on here. All right, and then go through and burnish real good. And then you can add this to the book. And that is how you construct the pages. Really simple, not even a hinge. So let me know if this is the kind of style you like. I always do hinges on my mini albums. I just feel like they're really strong and well put together. But if you like to see some quickies like this, I'd be happy to show you some other projects doing that. Okay, let's continue with the rest of the tutorial. So that's it. That's all there is to the construction of the book. Now, again, you can use these as a tuck spot. You could glue it at the top and bottom and tuck something in, or you could use it as a flap. You could add a cut apart on there, and then now it comes out. So that is it for the construction. I'm going to decorate these books, and then we're going to make the box. The way I came up for the measurement for the base is I want it to be able to be the thickness of your chipboard add that to this measurement and you should get 4.5. I'm not explaining this very well. The long and short of it is cut out your base and then cut a smidgen off of all 4 sides. The smidgen would equal the thickness of your chipboard. Does that make it any clearer? Because I don't think I was explaining it well. Or add that putting it right where I'd cut it, and you'd get 5 3/4. So it sort of depends on how, if you have really thick chipboard, you might want to adjust for that. Okay, now what we're going to do is put this together with what I'll call foundation strips. They're 1-inch piece folded in half. So you'll need 4 that are 5 1/2 by 1. You'll need 4 that are, 5 3/4 by 1, 4 that are 4 1/2 by 1, and then you'll need 8 that are 2 by 1. And I've already scored on the center of these. Now the next thing you need to do is fold at that score line. I guess we should fold and burnish and miter from right at that corner. Now we may need to miter a little bit more, but for now we're going to miter at the corner. So do that to all of your foundation pieces. And while you're watching me cut paper, I'll insert a little word of advice. Why don't you make, if you've never made a box before, make one as a trial run. And then you can cover it with pretty paper and use it as storage when you're done. Okay, I like to use liquid adhesive for this just because it's got a little movement. So I'm going to take one of the short sides and add glue to the bottom, just the bottom, 1/2 inch, no more than 1/2 inch. And I folded this, I'm gonna put this centered on here. So I'm right there, and it's right at the bottom. Okay, so you've got a nice L that you've made with your piece. And do that to the other ones. I guess we could add glue to that. Make sure it goes all the way to the bottom. And try to get as much to the edges. It's not the worst thing in the world. It's just easier if you don't have a gap. All right, so we'll add glue to here. Put this on. Make sure it's flush. Okay, that one's good. And that one's good too. All right, once they're dry, then burnish it. You want to make sure that they're not going to move, but burnish it onto the piece. Okay. Now take the 2-inch pieces, grab 4 of those. And put them all on the one side. So we'll put them all on the right side, the same side you've got this on, of the short side and the long side. Okay. So I'm making sure that it's on the same side. So we have another backwards, but an L. Okay, and one more. Okay, now I'm going to lay them out. Oops, like this. And grab my base. So what we're going to do is one at a time match this up with the base. Now what you want to do is the bottom of this is going to be on your surface and the base will come up next to it like that. So I'm going to add glue to this bottom piece, and I'll go along the very bottom too because I want this to stay flat, and I'll go along the very bottom of this piece because that's where the base is going to line up. I probably have more glue than I need there, but we'll go ahead and push that in. And there we go. I'm not going to move it, fold it, bend it. We'll just go like that. Now, I want to do the short side. So we'll just slide it in, add glue to the bottom, glue to the very bottom here. Slide it in. And slide it over. Do the same thing, add glue here, glue a bead of glue along the edge, slide it in, Okay, now let's glue these tabs over. I put a bead of glue along the chipboard. I'll put a bead of glue along the chipboard here and on the tab, on our foundation piece. The top piece is resting on this other piece of chipboard. The last piece usually has a little less wiggle room than the other ones did, but there still should be some. All right, now burnish as best you can. This one corner is going to be funky. But you know what will hide it is the little feet. Okay, now let's use the foundation pieces. First, double check for sizing. You know, I knew there was a reason why I wanted to buy some black chipboard. This would have been perfect for that. If you have black chipboard, this is the best use for it. Oh, you know what I didn't do? I didn't size it first, and I should have. Oops. All right, now we'll take these and put them on the inside. Make sure that they're not too long. So size it first. And if it's too long, cut it down. All right, now burnish, and unfortunately there's no way of showing you me burnishing. A little bit. So there is a beautiful box. Now, you could do one of two things. You could take a marker and cover the top of it and do the top 1/4 of an inch and then cover it with paper, or you could take more foundation pieces and cover it. I think I'm just going to use a marker. Let's see if I have one handy. I really don't, but this will give you an idea. Yeah, I'm going to go get another marker, something that's not going to fade. And then just cover, like I say, go in, or you could ink it. Inking would be good too. I do have that. I'll interject here. I'm going to use a sort of a shoe polish bottle that I had picked up and put in some distress ink. The jury's still out on it because it leaks. So before you run out and get it, because it really works very wonderfully, but it leaks. So I'm not sure if it's operator error. Once I figure it out, I will post and let you guys know if this is truly a remarkable thing or just a big mess. Okay, and now all you have to do is cover it with paper, and I'll give you the measurements for that. You'll need 4 pieces that are 5 5/8 by 1 7/8, 4 pieces that are 4 3/8 by 1 7/8, and 2 pieces that are 5 5/8 by 4 3/8. But dry fit everything. Make sure it's going to fit. That's going to be so pretty. So pretty. I'm going to do the newspaper on the inside and then the other print on the outside. And what did I say? Dry fit everything? There's the inside, and now the outside. So obviously, the outside pieces could be a smidge bigger than the inside pieces. I'm just making sure there's an even margin around it. So in that case, it's okay. It doesn't matter. And there is a nice sturdy box. So it will fit our albums. Without any problem. Now, of course, I haven't decorated the albums, and we still have the feet to put on the box. Okay, so I have these feet. I have no idea where I got them. They just sit right there in the corner. I'm going to glue them on. I'm going to use 2 glues. I'll use E6000 and hot glue. One's going to hold while the other one is drying. I need to open this. This is what I use scrap chipboard for. I have tons of it. I think this E6000 is close to the end of its life, but it will work for today. And here's my hot glue. So I'm going to take E6000. And then I will add, all right, so that'll go like that, and then I'll add Glue there. And push. And one more. All right, we're gonna let that cure for a while, and then we'll see how everything fits in the box. All right, and this is the next morning. Everything has dried. I added this chipboard element to the front. You can decorate the front even more than what I did. I just kept it simple. That's what the bottom looks like. I think I was a little overzealous with the glue, but that's okay. It's the bottom. But it's a nice solid box. And then I have also completed decorating the album, so I'll take you through those fairly quickly. There is the front of one. I did not go crazy with the decorating, thinking the whole purpose is to add photos and journaling. And two, I didn't have that much paper left. So there is that. If I hadn't made those other 3 albums, I would have been in better shape. And this is what to do with one of those flaps. I just folded it over and added an element here. And I think it adds a nice touch and sort of extends the page. This is a tuck spot underneath with the little tag. Here's another tag. Or whatever you want to call those. They're very pretty. So yeah, I just added a border strip here. I glued it down real good there. There we go with that. I added just a triangle. I took some of the border strips from this collection because they were beautiful and made a little folder out of here so you can add a couple of little pictures. That's a sticker. Here's one of those pockets. I just glued it on the side because all we're going to do is add little whatnots to the pockets or add photos there. I didn't have the heart to cover him. Isn't he adorable? Did add a little photo mat there. That is one. Oh, added a chipboard element to the side. Here is another one. I loved this for the front. Added this chipboard element and used a couple of brads. I just wanted some color and dimension to the front of that. Oh, that's the paper. And here's pocket. I added some of those little border strips to that pocket. A photo mat to that page. There's that. Little tag that makes a tuck spot. Fun, fun, fun. Another little border strip, which makes a nice side tuck spot. Aren't they cute? So there is that. And finally, the third of 3. I layered some of these cut aparts just to get this chipboard element there. Just added that. I think I ran out of things or just got tired of decorating. I don't know. I'll revisit and see what else I have in my scrap bin. That's a little pocket. So I made a pocket out of that one tuck spot. Still added an element to the side, but it makes just a nice little composition there. And I'll open up another pocket. These pretty little cut aparts. And I made a little tuck spot out of one of these larger, well, this is layered actually. I cut this down so it would fit just by, there was 2 rows of the, whatever that design is. And that came from a sticker. I just added it on some black cardstock and put on a little piece of ribbon I had, and there we are with that. So that is the 3 albums and the box to put them in. I think it makes a cute little gift. It looks really pretty sitting in your kitchen maybe. Document all your chickens or your garden or your kids or holidays or whatever you want. So much you can do with this. And I think what I'll do with the 3 extra books is I have paper from Echo Park, the chickens paper. Is it Echo Park or Simple Stories? Anyhow, it sort of goes, and I think I can make it work. So that is what I'll do with that. And that is the tutorial for today. I hope you liked how I made these 3 little albums in a box and how I constructed the box. I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, please hit that thumbs up. It really helps me out more than you know. Thanks for watching and have a fabulous day.